Hello, you absolute legends. Welcome back to the channel. It's John here, and today I want to talk to you about Proton 1.5, the SE LE edition. You may think, hang on a minute, I recognize that. You've done some content on that before. Well, yeah, I have. I have done content on 1.5 SE LEs before because I own one, is the honest answer. It was the very first Proton that I purchased. Um, And to put it into perspective, it is a Proton 1.5 SE base model. It's a dealer exclusive, a bit like the Black Knight, if you know what the story behind the Black Knight is. They were a 1.5 GL that had a sticker pack. They were updated and sold as a special edition. So were these, the 1.5 SE LEs. Nobody really knows how many existed. It wasn't a great deal. There might have been 2 or 3 per dealership, which would have made it about 500 to 600. Let me show you one then, because I want to talk to you not only about mine, but about how it's now the last one of its kind, because it is. It is the last one left in the world now, and I know that for a fact, and we'll come on to that. So when it loads then from my hard drive, here is my 1.5 SELE as it was originally found at the original owner's house. Here it is then. Let's flick through some images. It belonged to a chap called Morris, who sadly passed away. His family inherited the car and they lived abroad. And they were going to scrap the car. And a man called Ali found the car, I think, for sale and rescued it effectively. He brought it up to the Midlands, out of the garage where it had sat resting for a while. Here's the original photographs then, and it was sitting on 29,800 miles. There it is. There is the car in Morris's garage. There it is. And it was rescued by, as I say, a friend called Ali. There is Morris. There he is. There is the owner. And his family are okay with me talking about this because they've sent me the photographs. And Morris bought the car new from the Shield Motor Group. And he had it all his life until it was put in the garage due to ill health a few years ago. And there it is. There's the car. It was then sold to a man called Graham. And I will never forgive Graham. And Graham knows this. But he did this to it. Oh my goodness. So he bought the car. He bought the car from Ali. And he drove it backwards through Halfords, as you can see. And do you know what? It makes me so angry to see this. And he attached these decals to it, the checkered flag decals to the bonnet, to the wings. He replaced the original wheel trims. He drilled holes in the bumper. Yep, and fitted these terrible fog lights, spotlights. He drilled holes in the front grille and fitted not only an AA badge but an RAC badge. This is what he did to my beautiful Proton. This is as found. This is as I found it. So I bought that car from Car and Classic. I paid £700 for it. And as you can see, the next morning I'm outside and we are taking off all the horrible things that that Graham did to this beautiful car. So at this point, you can see the decals have gone from the bonnet, from the wings, and that is pretty much how it should be looking, with the original wheel trims now back on the car. Thank the Lord he kept these, because he said he was going to throw them away. He threw other things away. And it came to me, and it's still got these horrible bits and pieces on. So I then spent a lot of money on it, a lot of money, having it repaired. There were repairs that needed doing to the back of the car, some rust. You can see here's the car with the bumper off, and replacing some damaged parts because there were damaged parts. And actually, Ali managed to find some bits and pieces for me to repair the car and get it up to spec. And my good friend Steph from iDriver Classic, she came and drove this car as part of her channel. And I also took this car to the Festival of the Unexceptional in 2021. So there it is now. After a little bit of love from me, she looks nearly as good as new. Here it is then, the original invoice for the car. It was sort of £8.5 grand, but the basic on the road price £9,239 in 1990. That's a lot of money for a Proton. Anyway, for a very long time, I was told this was the last Proton 1.5 SE LE in the world, in existence, mine. And then, just before Christmas, somebody made me aware. In fact, Paul Cowland, Mr. Paul Cowland, you'll know him. He sent me a Twitter message to say, do you want a Proton? And I said, yes, of course I do. And I went to look at it. And as I pulled up in Loughborough, I saw this badge on the front of the car. And there was a wave of emotions in my head. The first emotion was, oh my goodness, this must be the only other SELE in the world. But now there's two. Hang on a minute, I'm not so special. I made an offer to buy said car, which was in really poor condition, as you can see. It's all blistery, it's all bubbly. Certainly not in concourse condition, certainly not in any sort of show condition, and it would have needed a lot of money to bring it back to being on the road. Here's me documenting it whilst I went to look at it. 43,000 miles, so only 13,000 miles more than my car. Well, it was missing things it should have. The headrests. It's got the floor mats. This was all broken, the surround. There's me measuring the LE badge. The boot spoiler was also missing. So there it is, there's the car. And I agreed to buy that car. And then driving home, my smart car went bang. And if you haven't seen the videos on the channel, you will know that it took a month and a half to get it back on the road. And I had to ring the vendor who was selling this and say, look, it's not going to be economical for me to buy your Proton and for me to fix my smart car. So I had to let it go. And the plan was always to buy this Proton 1.5 SELE, this one that you can see, with a view of stripping it for spares, because it is posh rotten, absolutely posh rotten, and you'll see that in a minute. And it was going to be uneconomical to repair, and there was no MOT, and look, you've got to be sensible sometimes, right? And also this little devil on my shoulder here, going, I need to destroy that car because that makes mine more special, right? Rhetorical question. You'll understand why in a moment. Anyway, stayed really in good contact with the owner of this car, who said, look, don't worry that you can't buy it. I understand the situation. we've had another offer on the car, and actually it's significantly more than what we were going to sell it to you for. So it disappeared. It went off. It was picked up, and it was bought by a man. I can't give you his details because I don't have his permission to share his details. Fine, I'm not going to be that person. This man ran a company buying and selling classic cars. I then went away. This is January time. End of January, I went away to Mexico with Mrs. John Coupland. We had a honeymoon. That's why I'm still quite brown. And somebody on Twitter sent me a direct message with a link to a Copart auction. Guess what was at Copart? The 1.5 SELE. And oh my goodness. I'd been having, not sleepless nights, but I'd been thinking about this car. Things I was thinking about, such as, well, my SELE has got a front grille with holes in it. It's got a front bumper with holes in it. I needed the parts from this car. I wanted the parts from this car. I was thinking to myself, well, if this car is going to car park, if it's going to end up getting squished, if it's going to end up getting scrapped or bang erased or whatever, I really wish I could have got the bits off it. Anyway, I was then sent a photograph. Another photograph, because people know in this world that I like my Protons. I'm trying to find that photograph for you. I'm flying about in my little bubble there. I like that. That makes me happy that I can do that. It's weird, that, isn't it? Right, stop. It was a photograph that looked similar to, but not the photograph. This looked like this of the 1.5 SELE. It wasn't that because it's been stripped of its parts there. It looked like this. This is better. The 1.5 SELE in a yard in Boston, in Lincolnshire, which is where I live. And I contacted the person who had put it on the Facebook, that picture, and said, what are you doing with that car? Because I knew it was no good to be repaired. And I didn't expect this person to probably be restoring it or stripping it for parts to sell the parts. Anyway, it turned out that person was not the owner of the car, but the owner of the car was a friend of mine. Through circles. You know people in your own hometown, right? And they bang erase cars. So I contacted them, and you'll have seen on the channel there is video footage, and that video footage probably looks like this when it loads. It looks like this. And that is me talking about Proton, because I went to strip it of all its bits, and you can see how rotten it is. I got to go and take all the parts off this car for free that I wanted. Now I'm having a bit of an existential crisis because I got my own way. I got to make my car the only 1.5 SELE in the world, and I got to get my parts for free. Anyway, I just wanted to talk to you about these cars because I've got some great plans and discuss with you just how the world works in such mysterious ways. It really does. And these are the parts that I've managed to salvage off the car. If you're interested, we'll go through it. Things like the gear gaiter, the door handle rest covers from the inside, fog lights, interior bits of plastic. You might laugh, but window wipers, because they're the old screw-in style, you can't buy them anymore in the right size. And my SELE has got them run flats. So these little bits, these little finishing touches for my car, I've managed to save, and there was no way I was going to be able to save these bits without finding another SELE. They let me take the whole interior, so if anything ever happens, God forbid, I've got chairs, I've got headrests, I've got seats, I've got electric wing mirrors, and this was cool, the original toolkit, um, which as you can see is branded as Mitsubishi, but it is a Proton toolkit. Center console, stereo, and if you can hear that, that's my cat. Um, all these little bits and pieces that I've managed to save out of this car. Anyway, that is it then. That is the 1.5 SELE. That is now one less. And as far as I'm aware, is now the only one in the world that is sat in my garage. And it's going to continue because obviously I've now got all these new parts and bits and pieces. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the video. Me just talking about these 1.5 SELEs and me, my little thing for Proton. Let me know in the comments what you would have done if you knew that you had the opportunity to make your car really rare with a car that potentially could have carried on. What would you have done? Let me know in the comments. Whatever you're up to, have a great day. Here's the cat. Hello, you're on the video now. Have a great day. Hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter. And until next time, stay safe. Goodbye.